best thing she can do, and she wants the whole world to know she's out there.
You know, Tim, what amazes me is what he just did there. A lot of people try to do that, and if they ever call a turkey up with it, they do it for the rest of their life. They don't ever change. We don't do those things in the latter part of the
That's a
season.
real good point. When I get that turkey to answer me at that transition, what I do, I put that call down. I'll pick a softer call up, maybe a friction call. Maybe I'll take a slate call, which I think is underestimated so much, and give me that little soft call.
Well, let's talk about a different transition and talk about those softer callers. You know, we have talked about transition period 2 as being one that's going to fit your seasons, and most every season is going to start there. But in Kentucky's end of it, the way they start this year, we're going to get the last 5 days of transition period 2, and we're going to get the whole part of transition period 3. Transition period 3 is like the peak of rut for white-tailed deer. That's the time to be there, ain't it? You know how in white-tailed deer, that is the man. So what is happening in the peak of rut on white-tailed deer, is on turkeys, is the hens are setting. When those hens are setting, it doesn't get any better. But the key to it is it's the first 4 or 5 days that those hens start setting, and they're no longer available. He's been sitting up there thinking about, hey, what's happened to my hens? The season's wearing down. I'm in a panic stage.
He's been strutting with these hens probably for 3 weeks. I mean, every day, and all at once they're gone.
They're not there. And he's panicking, so the least little bitty sound that you can make makes you the best caller in the world. So we don't really need to spend a lot of time talking about transition period 3 because that's when Kentucky season opens up. But let me tell you something about it. Once you get into that transition, it ain't long before it's going to go the other way. And then she's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher because those turkeys know that, hey, if that hen was really interested in me, she'd be over here. Right. But let's talk about what you can make any kind of sound right now that's basically going to call up a turkey. So Harold, let's talk about what it would take just in that transition period 3. The easiest sound you would make to call up a turkey would be a cluck and a yip, and you can make it on anything.
Oh, you can make it on anything, David. I just pick up an old yaller call right here. You can just take the thing and just.
And we've all heard that noise out in the woods.
That's a sweet little sound. Says,
Simple.
I'm in love with you, bro.
A little lonesome hen is simple. I love this call because I can get so low with it. You know, that little hen that gives that little put sound.
And you can kind of adjust the volume on that.
Absolutely, I can adjust that volume right here and get.
So if a lot of people, if they couldn't master this or that, that's pretty cut and dry.
That's right. What you want to keep in mind too, Tim, we got lots of beginner turkey hunters, not only in Kentucky here, but Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee. We got lots and lots of new turkey hunters. Some of them might be 50-year-old hunting for the first time. So we'll run into several people this year that's over 60 hunting for the first time.
Right.
On top of that, we got lots of young hunters that's hunting for the first time.
Right.
Tim, you talking about that little lonesome hen being easy to use? Let me make one statement about that. That's a beginner's call for a seasoned turkey hunter. Does that tell you
That's
something?
a good way to talk
That's
about
a beginner's call for a seasoned turkey hunter, and I don't care how good you are. There's a place for that. And of course, I'm a friction caller to begin with because I think a lot of us get timid when we call a turkey with mouth diaphragm. So I want everybody to realize, just because you can't use a mouth diaphragm doesn't mean squat when it comes to killing a turkey. It helps.
Well,
no doubt helps.
I fully recommend somebody learn to master as many calls as you can. Right. But just because you got a turkey to answer you with a mouth diaphragm early in the morning, lots of times I get them to answer me with a mouth call. I'll put a little friction call and finish him off, that little soft hen call.
Let's talk about the fourth transition real quick. This is when the gobblers have said, hey, where are the hens? They're no longer here. And all of a sudden, you come out there and you make your little call, and he answers you, but he walks the other way. Everybody that's ever turkey hunter's experienced that.
It's a bad feeling.
That's a bad feeling. Now, there's either one or two things happen. You can write it down. He's either got a hen that doesn't want company, that's a late bloomer, and she's taking him off, or, and this is more likely than not, he's going to a strut zone. He says, hey, I don't have time to fool with you. If you're really excited about this, you should be over here with me because that's what the nature is anyway. The hen go to the gobbler. And in the early part of the season, he's got lots of competition out there, and he's going to rush in there and do things a little bit stupid. But in the late part of the season, he's the boss gobbler. He says, hey, if you're interested in me, get over here now because I'm going to find where my hens left. This comes a tough time to call turkeys. The thing about it, I think you really recognize this period is when you don't hear a lot of hens doing nothing.
Right.
Those hens have been sitting in some cases as much as already 15, 18 days, and he is in a panic mode. And Harold, this is a time to pattern that gobbler. Get to those points where he's lost his hens. That's where he's headed to. He's headed to some place he's lost his hens.
The reason he's going to those points because he's had success there before finding a hen. And he'll go back to those places just like clockwork.
Right.
He'll go right back to them. And you might be calling to him at a place and a live hen might be calling to him. He'll leave that live hen a lot of times and go to that place because that's where he wants her.
And sometimes all you need to make is a cluck.
All you need to make is a cluck. You know, you can make it on so many calls. A cluck is an okay call. Just a real little soft, just comfortable little call. You know, just take a little simple call like that right there and just go.
Well, you got to remember, Tim, what you're doing now is you're trying to get that gobbler, stick his head up and look, because you're going to pattern this turkey. You're supposed to get where he's going, see?
Right.
And then you go maneuver him this last 10 or 12 yards. This is not a maneuver from 200 yards away. And so this becomes a real tough time to call. But let me say something about the gobbler guide. It tells all about those in these transitions.
And what kind of call to use.
And what kind of call to use. We describe what kind of call, like old yeller or like some kind of call. But I think the other key to it is we put bullet points down here. And in these bullet points it says, hey, the foliage is out now. You can't hear a turkey gobbler as far as you once did. So if you're not careful, you're going to walk over top of him.
Especially if it's a little wind blowing.
You're going to spook him. So this is a time of year to read your bullet points. Match it up with your transition. Hey, in the early part of spring, like it is right now, you can hear a turkey a long ways. You can get away with a lot, but you can't get close to that turkey. Later on in the year, you got to get closer.
So what you've done with these different transitions is take an overview of Mother Nature and how she is affecting everything, including the foliage, what the birds are doing, what the hens are doing, and put it right here so you can explain at any
Do you know
particular
what?
time.
Each part of that plays a part on that turkey. Have you ever noticed when you watch the dogwoods when they get in full bloom, that's about the best it ever gets for turkey hunting, and she starts going the other way?
Yeah.
Hey, it's nature plays a part all along the way with the trees and the foliage, just like it does with the turkey. So yes, we applied that in here. We put those bullet points. These are things to look for. It has nothing to do with turkey,
Right.
but it does have something to do with
It
turkey.
makes you understand that turkey, and that's a whole secret, Tim,
Well,
is understand it.
Let me ask you something. You said you had 79 years of experience. You told me you were 27. You told me you were 28.
We lied just a hair about that.
Well,
You know,
something
79 years sounded, that's
No.
a good round figure. Sounded good, didn't it?
No, I told you I didn't look over 29.
Oh, that's what it is.
Well, let me say one more thing about the gobbler guide. It does come complete with an audio tape that you can plug in your car going down the road. It comes complete with a 45-minute video that shows everything in video that we talked about as far as the transition is concerned. A nice little kit for anybody because it's an educational piece. And I've made this quick analogy. You give me this right here, this gobbler guide, and one call, and put me equal with Hale, and give Hale all the rest of the calls out there, and he's equal with me. And we're talking about beginner hunters, or even in the first 5 or 10 years, everything being on equal. Well, I kill more turkeys with the gobbler guide and one call than you will with all them other calls. And what that is, you know why? Because I understand the turkey.
That is correct.
Most
That's
people
the
do
secret.
not understand the turkey.
And I spent a couple years banging around in the woods, just like you got to. And I made terrible mistakes. You learn from those mistakes, but it's nice if you got something right here telling you how to avoid those.
Absolutely.
Well, Tim, I'd like to clarify something right here. I'm going to hunt this year if the good Lord's willing, and he'll humble me this year like he has the last 47 years. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
That turkey will put me down and say, "What do I need to do next?" There's no earthly way you can figure out totally what one's going to do,
No,
but this
we sure
will
got
help
some
you.
stuff will help you.
But that in itself is the great part about turkey hunting. It's never,
That's-
nothing's ever the same.
You never figure it all out, and that's what makes me come back.